See, the rain is nice, but I don't really like getting wet. What in the world? No, I went under the awning. It's still raining. Why is it still raining? I did what I was supposed to. It's not fair.
There's a word that was coined fairly recently called anomia, which means a nostalgic sense of longing for a past you yourself have never lived. One of my favorite things on the internet are people who create truly unique projects. They don't really copy anyone else, they bring something completely new to the table. And in my case, I'm especially interested if said endeavor is a little weird, a tad strange, a touch disturbing even. You know, the usual. And one of the most important people creating content in this sphere is the one and only, larger than life, Jack Stauber. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Choking Hazard, the only show on YouTube where we eat one single crumb from a Triscuit cracker. Oh, so you're one of the few who was unaware of the pure, unfiltered genius that is Jack Stauber? Well, allow me to enlighten you. This thing is so damn uncomfortable. Jesus Christ. Okay. Come on. Whatever, it's good enough. Jack's signature style is surreal, lo-fi, creepy animation and music that draws on a weird sense of childhood nostalgia. It's a smell that takes you back to a time when you were younger, but you don't actually recognize the smell. Most, if not all, of his songs and videos have a disturbing or scary undercurrent to them, and if you're not into that type of thing, you probably shouldn't be on this channel at all. Seriously, the door is right over there. It's the wooden thing with the knob. People online call this specific style of art weirdcore, which is not the name I would have chosen, but here we are. Jack is often credited as being the one to popularize this style of media online. At the time of my recording this, he has released 4 wildly different albums of original music under his own name and has uploaded almost 200 insanity-inducing videos. I made a list of a bunch of Jack's songs and videos that I find particularly powerful, and tonight I'm going to show them to you and generally talk about them. We're going to have a fun journey getting traumatized together, and maybe we'll come out stronger on the other side. Or just, you know, still traumatized. There are links to every video and song I talk about down below in the depths of hell, so be sure to check those out. And yeah, let's jump into it. The first video on my list here is called Rain, one of the most popular videos Stauber has made, and one of the easiest to gain some overarching meaning or narrative from. A man with huge, expressive eyes wanders out into the rain and then says the rain is nice, but he doesn't like getting wet. He moves under an overhang to get out of the downpour, yet somehow it's still raining on him. He calls out to no one, asking, why is it still raining? He did everything that he was supposed to do, yet the rain is still falling. Like most of Jack Stauber's videos, the music accompanying the video adds a lot of atmosphere and emotional importance. And in Rain, the music is a strange, simple melancholy. The video feels like the equivalent of a modern-day fable or parable, and really a lot of Jack's stuff is like this. By using surreal yet familiar and almost childlike scenarios, he's able to get his message across. And while I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know exactly what Jack intended his viewers to think when they saw his work, I can tell you what meaning I get from them. The world is often a cruel and unfair place, but most people want to try and believe that there's some sort of order and reason as to why or how things happen. Especially when you're younger and still curious and interested in everything. And then as you grow up, there are many times when you try your best and you do everything that you think you're supposed to do and still end up failing. This can apply on a more general level as well, when you do everything you can to try and feel happy, yet you don't feel any change. Feeling like no matter what you do, no matter how far you go, you always end up back at square one. It's an incredibly sad and pervasive feeling of uselessness or lack of control over your own life that is sad and just beats you down until you start to accept it. Library, in my opinion, is more disturbing than Rain, but it has a lot of the same undercurrents of sorrow and quiet despair. The video almost feels split into two sections, the first being a quick exchange that's meant to lull the viewer into a false sense of security before plunging them into the horrors that will ruin their lives ahead. One character asks another character who's lying in bed if they want to go to the library by any chance, and the character in the bed says no. All good, that's it, pack your bags, nothing more to see here. After the character is left alone, they roll over and bury their face in their pillow. Here we get a glimpse into their mind's eye, where a game show host taunts them for not being able to remember their mother's face. And from this we can assume that the mother is at least absent and probably dead. We watch as the character struggles harder and harder to fill in even a single feature, but nothing comes. Their mother is a hideous blob of flesh that laughs and taunts them, and the voices in the background say things along the lines of everything you do will pass away, nothing you create matters. But most importantly, that memory fades, and eventually you are unable to recall what you even lost. This gut-wrenching video touches on the fear of losing someone you love, and then feeling them gradually slip away from even your mind and your own memories. At some point you can't remember their voice or their face. Take pictures of people while you have them in your life. One more thing, and this is important. While there are technically more disturbing or messed up things that I'm going to talk about in this video, I think Library might be the one that hits closest to home for people who have experienced loss of some kind in their lives. And this clip and subsequent discussion of it is incredibly deep-cutting and even possibly upsetting or triggering to people who have gone through similar hardship in their lives. So I just want to take a second and say, while it might not mean much, things do get easier. I feel for you, and other people in the comments, they feel for and care about you as well. As a matter of fact, a lot of the people who have been engaging with my channel here recently are some of the nicest people I've encountered in the entire internet. And if I can, I want to cultivate that because I think that's really, really cool. Plus y'all are really funny too, so it's amazing. Point being, this is just the internet, but we're here for you. And now to lighten the mood, I want you to know that oh shit spelled backwards is this hoe. So there's that. There was a comment under the video called Help where someone says that Jack Stauber makes them feel emotions they didn't know existed, and I thought that was a pretty accurate description of his entire body of work. It hits so incredibly hard, and you almost don't even know why. The short film can be interpreted a bunch of different ways, but let me explain it to you first. A guy we'll call Trisket is stuck underneath a rock. He doesn't seem to be in pain, but it's implied that he might have always been this way. You know, stuck beneath a rock. Another guy shows up and he's wearing a snazzy business suit, so we'll call him Lord Business. Anyways, Will Ferrell shows up and says Trisket needs help, and then he just walks away without saying anything else. Trisket starts half-heartedly calling for assistance, and another random dude shows up. This guy has blue hair, so we're gonna call him Ninja. Ninja asininely asks Trisket if he's asking for help. Trisket confirms that yes, he was asking for help, and then Ninja has the brilliance to ask, "Do you want help?" Hello, I am your friendly neighborhood bank teller, here to work accounts and such. This is a stick-up! Please, wait, don't! Help! I've been shot, and I'm bleeding out on the cold, hard floor of this bank. Hello, are you asking for help? Yes, that's what I was just doing. But do you want help? What the fuck do you think "please help me, I'm bleeding out" is supposed to be? What else can I possibly mean by "I need help" other than I need help? Maybe I'm actually asking God to put me out of my misery so I don't have to deal with idiots. Dude, that's not nice. What? You know, questioning my intelligence like that. I have feelings too. And holy shit, he died. Anyways, Trisket doesn't confirm that he wants help quick enough for Ninja, and so Ninja takes this as a perfect opportunity to tell Trisket that he doesn't actually want help at all. Trisket then thanks him for this revelation, and is left still under a rock as Ninja saunters away like the smug bastard he is.
Is there a way I can help? I need help. Do you want help? What? You don't want help. I don't? No. Alright, well, thank you. You're welcome. Goodbye. Bye.
To me, this short film is about a person who is born with an extreme disadvantage but doesn't know any better. They've never known anything different. So people around them like to condescendingly explain their problems to them and psychoanalyze them and treat them as subhumans incapable of making decisions for themselves or understanding the world around them. But no one ever actually tries to help. They just take advantage of vulnerabilities to feel better about themselves. And then the person with the disadvantage, whatever it might be, does legitimately try to ask for help. And then people like tell them that they're just complaining or that they don't really want help or that it's not as bad as, you know what I'm getting at. And they're left stuck under a rock. Nerpo, nerpo, fa la 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 la, nerpo, nerpo, ha 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 ha. He eats the coins you drop between the cushions of your couch, converts them into dopamine inside of his mouth. Nerpo I always thought was one of Jack's most fun and lighthearted videos, mainly because the music and animation aren't complete nightmare fuel. And I originally placed it here on the list as an intended break from all of the bleakness that came before and the bleakness that's going to come after. But then I did a little bit of research. The song describes an oddball little creature that eats the coins you drop between the cushions of your couch and speaks of things that adults can't remember and children do not have the words to describe. One of my absolute favorite artists in the horror space online, the one and only Trevor Henderson, actually made his own version of the creature Nerpo, who whispers things to people that make them go down the sewer slide. And Jack supposedly confirmed that that's accurate lore for the creature on Twitter. So there's that. So the conclusion that we draw from this is that Nerpo is a sadistic fuck that goes around forcing people to off themselves, and I put this here as the lighthearted bit in the video. Okay, on to the next one.
In his mouth, he says amazing things, but only whispers to the devil.
The concept of view feels like a Twilight Zone episode. A humanoid figure stands in a field and ponders nature. It says the world around them is beautiful, and it reminds them of being young and healthy. It even says the natural landscape reminds them of the inherent goodness of man. It ends by saying this moment cannot be recreated, and it must be lived through. Now, all of that is beautiful sentiment, but the true twist of the story, or the irony here, is the humanoid figure's voice and general appearance.
Nature. What we have left when everything else is gone. It takes my breath away.
He sounds like an automaton or some digital creation. Is the view itself digital? Is the short a meta look at how Jack brings these characters to life? Or is it a strange commentary on humans eroding the natural world for the sake of greed, becoming almost like robots themselves with one singular purpose? Who can say except Mr. Stauber himself? View is a strange short because I believe it's mostly intended to be happy. It speaks about living in the present, seizing each day, and appreciating each and every moment of your life. And yet, the context clues and the background music turn it into something disquieting and strange. The opposite side of living in the present is explored in the next short I want to talk about, The End. Very ominous title. Up until this point, a lot of what I've chosen to analyze has been more short films than anything else. But Jack Stauber is primarily known for creating strange, evocative music videos to accompany his lo-fi, weirdcore music and nightmarish, surreal, and often unintelligible lyrics. Here we get our first taste of that with The End. An incredibly sad song that at its core is about fear. The fear of a sudden or gradual ending of everything that you have ever known. He croons softly over the sound of wailing that there is no happy end. It is only just the end. The lyrics downplay this idea of the end. It's not only unhappy, it's also quiet and small. Using phrasing like only just the end, Jack reiterates that there is nothing more after the curtain falls. Closure is an illusion, and while there may be happy later, happy now, and happy then, there is no happy end. Along with these delightful lyrics, we see images of babies floating through an endless void, lots of movie fading out sequences that involve, the stereotypical words, the end, a strange creature that looks like a wilting flower that speaks to the viewer while the song is going on, and a lot of religious imagery as well. The flower creature says, "Ease is comfort, rest is comfort, both born from effort. Nothing is just nothing." And that just drives home this message of the futility and mindless drudgery of the universe that we exist inside of. And I kind of just want to stop there and go on to something else, but really quick, I just had a thought. You could also interpret nothing is just nothing that the flower says as something positive. Nothing is just nothing. You can find deeper meaning in the world around you, even if there isn't necessarily one set in stone, one that serves you and gives you peace of mind. Nothing is just nothing. Let's move on. This next one's called Hey Mom. Another thing Jack does really, really well is comedy. Admittedly, fairly dark comedy, but that's my favorite kind, so it works very well. This skit is really short and would lose a lot of its potency if I tried to explain it to you. So I highly recommend you just watch it. Again, links are in hell down below us. Same goes for everything I have and will talk about in this video, but with this one, there's not really all that much I can add to it. I just really like it. Before moving on, I will say that I think the point in this one, if you can even call it that, is that people get stuck in patterns or cycles that are self-destructive and do way more harm than good. And when that happens, it's good to recognize it so you can overcome it or break the cycle. Often the pattern itself will be illogical and you might need outside assistance to realize it. I guess the point being, don't be closed off to the idea that the way that you view the world around you or your relationship to the world around you might be inaccurate or just plain wrong. The next three creations I want to talk about are more songs than videos, but two of them do have accompanying music videos, so it still all works together. This type of thing is how I originally found out about this guy, and to be honest, it's some of the coolest stuff on the entire internet. Also, and this doesn't really matter all that much, but my pronunciation of Jack Stauber comes from one of his songs where he refers to himself, and I've seen people pronounce his name a lot of different ways online. Personally, I still go with just Jack Stauber, but if I'm mispronouncing it, apologies. Regardless, let's talk about some songs. First, we have Buttercup, which you may have heard even if you haven't ever heard of Jack before. The chorus of the song got big on TikTok and Instagram like years after it was released, and now you can hear it in the background of hundreds of thousands of videos online. Funnily enough, this is the only thing on this list that doesn't have any visuals created by Jack Stauber, but that might be because this fan-made music video already exists and already has hundreds of millions of views. When I first heard Buttercup, I thought that the lyrics were mostly nonsense, but then I stumbled across this quote from Jack himself. I get playful with the words, but they're always chosen very carefully. They all make perfect sense, and I wouldn't sing something if it didn't. This specific song is one of the greatest examples of one of Jack's many talents. The ability to give some of the most complex and indecipherable vocal performances of all time. Like seriously, 80% of this song, it's impossible to understand what he's saying without the lyrics right in front of you. But the vocals themselves are so incredibly varied and cool. It's just so unique. And he can even replicate it all live too. It's not any sort of studio vocal manipulation or pitch shifting. He can just get his voice to do that. A lot of people on the internet refer to his style of singing as singing in cursive or singing aesthetically, and I just gotta say, yes, that description fits perfectly. Despite Jack's claim that the song has intended meaning, I'm mostly stumped on this one. He talks specifically about electrifying his heart, so that could make it a love song. I really don't know. Electrify my golden tooth because I'm locked up in the button. Some connotations later in the song could lead you to believe it's about unrequited love. Honestly, I have no idea, and I just love the way the song sounds. Next is Baby Hotline, which was my favorite Jack Stauber song and music video for a very long time. The song follows the story of a woman who hoards quarters to use in a payphone so she can call a suicide hotline. They put her on hold, and she contemplates and then commits over the course of the song, most likely overdosing with pills. The music video is eerie and evocative, with a ton of suggestive images and animations all blending together to create this perfect picture of a person experiencing mania leading up to the act itself. The music video only uses like 40 seconds of the song though, so if you haven't heard the full version yet, I highly recommend it. Actually, while I'm saying this, all the extended versions of his songs are incredible. There is so much going on in every single one of them. Interestingly enough, this song also got a lot more popular because of TikTok, Instagram, and social media services, which I think it's pretty cool. Most recently, I've been seeing Dinner Is Not Over getting a lot of traction, which has been really fun to watch. That's another favorite of mine, and maybe I'll talk about it in the future video. But moving on.
I tasted heartbreak. I've tasted food. I tasted dying and it tasted good.
This is the last song I'm going to talk about in this video. But if this video gets to 1,000 likes, I'll make a follow-up going over some more of Jack's work. He's one of my favorite online creators, and I could probably talk about his work for hours. I also still have stuff like Opal to go over, so yeah, there's lots more ground to cover if you guys are interested. New Normal is my current favorite song and video by Jack. This was released relatively recently, and unlike a lot of his other work, it doesn't bury the more disturbing or difficult concepts underneath fun songs or quirky animation. Everything about New Normal is bleak and terrifying. And the video has this effect where the animation starts to distort and like glitch out of existence. It's really cool. The visuals overwhelm the senses with jarring and terrifying images of people being taken to the sky, of strange creatures made of flesh, of the terrifying glint of yesterday's smile, and of the sun rising on a desolate and empty world of horrors. This is the one song that I want to read the full lyrics with you. Sunrise, it's time. Step out into the new normal. Embrace the day with your new shape. Goodbye to those who cannot join us. Their voices are still heard in every word that we say. And as we blend into new normal, familiar path, different lanes. And in the background he says, I'll miss you. You've donned yesterday's smile. Decorate your new face. This song was released during the height of the pandemic, so it's likely that it was made at least partially with all of the stuff going on in the world in mind. But I personally think that the song is also more universal than that. It's about loss, the heavy toll that the world extracts from you each and every day. It's about change and the fear of change, the confusion of change that you're not even totally aware of, change that affects you, change that becomes you. Decorate your new face. It's about guilt and remorse. It's sad, but most importantly, it's about continuing forward despite the path ahead being strange. The road you walk is unknown, and yet the path feels familiar, which actually describes most of Jack's work. A nostalgic sense of longing that describes a past you yourself have not lived. Anemia. In my opinion, Jack Stauber is one of the most interesting and creative artists of the last decade. His albums, videos, and projected personality will live on. Though, as we've learned today, all will eventually pass away, it's safe to assume that Mr. Stauber's work will far outlive him. The universal messages and surreal way of delivering these messages will carve his name into the rock of eternity. We are Team Rocket. Each like on this video equals 1 drop of rain being removed from the cloud over that guy's head. Let's try to make it so it stops raining entirely. If you like video on the tube of you, subscribe. Hello, Mr. Stauber. The council has convened and sent me forward as a messenger. My only wish is to speak with you. Your work has touched my heart and pierced my soul. And though I know you haven't uploaded in a while, I will always believe in the legend of Jack Stauber. If you ever have time or the inclination, I would really, really love to interview you. I mean, I've been studying your work, and I've seen the images so many times now that I've started seeing them in my dreams. Now I can't sleep. I'm plagued with questions, and my eyes started burning a few days ago. Eldritch sigils of odious portent have begun to plague even my waking hours. You were also supposed to send me the milk like 3 months ago, so my point is, please email me. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to tune in next week when I will turn myself into a worm to see how much you still love me. Bullshit math equations and your highs and your lows and your manic depression. It comes and it goes. Your parasympathetic nervous system reacts and you're in fight or flight mode.